So, welcome back to yet another episode of your favorite podcast where we like to talk about all the things that we wonder about. What's up?
We love everything from the super weird to the supernatural to the super interesting, I guess.
I mean,
don't know.
it's all super interesting. It really just depends on your perspective.
True. And I feel like most things can be considered weird if you think super hard about it, you know?
It's like if I think about the word bowl too many times, it becomes a supernatural experience.
Or like chimney. That's a dumb word. Chimney. Think about it.
Chimney. Chimney. Chimney.
Chimney.
Chimney.
Yep.
Chimney. Chimney.
Also, I feel a little weird, like, recording in the daylight.
Isn't it so bizarre? I'm like, oh my gosh, you can see me and my surroundings. It's so weird.
Also, I'm not going to lie, like, after our last story that I'm not going to reference, but after our last recording, I was a little spooked. I was a little spooked. Couldn't sleep very well.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was out like a light.
No, I kept, like, thinking about stuff.
Oh, man.
A little spooky.
A little spooky. Yeah, we're here to give you the spooks and the sneaks and the... I don't even know. The kooks and the creeks. Hey!
Ooh, there you go. Kooks and the creeks.
Yeah.
I am...
As in kooky. As in like, ooh.
What else would that mean?
I don't know. I just wanted to clarify that. like the Beanie Baby, the cat.
Yeah, I still have that.
I'm pretty sure I gave it to your daughter because I had it for a while, and then I was like, I should really let go of my Beanie Baby collection, and then instead I got like another giant Beanie Baby and 2 stuffed animal unicorns.
Really?
Yes.
I love it so much.
Anyways.
So how are you today?
Sleepy, but I am here. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm chilling. I'm just, yeah, man. It's just like, you know, this week has been less busy than most of my weeks in the past have been, but yet still I'm like,
It's, well, you've got a lot of stuff coming up, number 1, and you got a lot of change, number 2.
yeah.
And number 3, I feel like when you're used to, like, functioning under such a busy, intense environment, it takes, like, a minute to, like, wind down from that, regardless of your actual surroundings. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What about you? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad it's Friday.
Woohoo!
Yeah. I didn't sleep very well last night, and I changed my topic last minute. So you're welcome. Yeah, I think the next topic I'm going to do, it's going to have to be a series because there's too much to go into.
Well, I like that.
Yeah, so that can be our first series because there's just so much, and there's so many side stories. So
Yeah.
like,
Now I'm really intrigued. Now I want to know what you're going to talk about.
Good, because it's probably going to be at least 2 episodes, maybe 3.
I love that for you. For both of us. For everyone. Don't we all love that? Isn't that great?
So yeah, I changed my topic last minute. I also wanted to do something, Easter-y themed.
Oh, okay. Uh-oh. Is this going to be about Easter lifting?
No, I don't know what that is, but now I want to look it up.
It's like some weird tradition from like the 1800s where men used to lift women into the air, like on a chair or something. They'd be like, haha, look, I lifted you up into the air. Aw. And then the women would try to lift the men, which is like
Why?
I don't know. They did the weirdest things back then. I'm just saying.
No, it is not about Easter lifting.
Thank goodness.
I do want to sidetrack into what was almost my topic, but there isn't actually enough information for me to do a whole topic on him.
I'm listening.
So, have you heard of the Bunnyman?
Oh, no. God, talk about the stuff of nightmares. The fuck is the Bunny Man? I've watched Donnie Darko. Is that the Bunny Man?
So I actually think that the Bunnyman from Donnie Darko is a little bit
Based on a true
inspired.
story? Oh my god.
No, so the Bunnyman is an urban legend in Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia areas, right? It involves a man wearing a rabbit costume who attacks people with a hatchet.
Oh, well.
Yay!
I'm like, I don't have any words. Just, wow, horrifying, terrible, and like, why not? Why not put on a bunny costume and kill people with a hatchet? Ugh.
Yes. So it's an urban legend, but there are 2 instances, and that's why I couldn't go much more into it because there's only 2 instances that like it really originated from. So apparently the first instance was in 1970. An Air Force cadet was visiting his family, and around midnight after returning home from a football game, they noticed something. Like, him and his girlfriend noticed something moving outside of their rearview mirror. And moments later, the front passenger window was smashed with the hatchet. And
It's like Son of Sam in a rabbit costume.
yes, and the guy said that he turned the car around while a man wearing what he thought was a bunny hat or costume screamed at them about trespassing, saying, "You're on private property and I have your tag number." So then they went to the police, and the guy insisted that he was wearing a white suit with long bunny ears. But the chick that was in the car with him said that he did not have bunny ears. But still, around midnight, getting attacked by somebody with a hatchet, and this guy thought he had bunny ears, right?
Oh no. Oh no.
So then, 10 days later, same area, a guy was, like, a construction security guard saw a man standing on the porch of an unfinished home. And he said the guy was wearing a black, gray, and white, bunny costume and was about 20 years old, maybe 5'8". And the guy wearing the bunny costume had a hatchet again, or an axe, and began chopping, like, the porch post with, it's a long-handled axe this time, saying, "You are trespassing. If you come any closer, I'll chop off your head." And they investigated both instances, but they were eventually both closed for lack of evidence. Apparently, more than 50 people following these instances, contacted the police claiming to have seen the Bunny Man, but there wasn't any real leads. So then it turned into this, urban legend where this guy escaped from an insane asylum and attacks people with hatchets and stuff like that. And apparently,
like that. Ugh.
I know. And I guess they're making it into a horror movie, or they did make it into a horror movie. Oh, they did make it into a horror movie in 2011. But yeah, that's the urban legend of the Bunny Man, which is not related to my real topic, but I thought it was very festive.
Well, thank you for that tidbit. Goodness.
I just wanted to put it out in the universe because, I feel like it's something people should know about. And also, it was not enough of a topic for me to do, a whole thing about, obviously, since I just took, 5 minutes to explain what it was.
It's like, do you see my face right now? I'm just,
I know.
stuck in this, why and why?
I feel like the bunny rabbit thing is creepier than, clowns are creepy, but, a bunny, I don't know, man.
It's like you expect a clown.
Yeah.
A bunny is just are you, what? Are you kidding?
Yep. Yeah, so there's rumors of this Bunny Man urban legend being responsible for mutilating animals and
of course, oh my
killing
God.
people and all kinds of other stuff. But those are the only 2 actual recorded instances that were reported to police.
Wow.
Of the Bunny Man.
Well, thank you for that. Goodness.
You are so welcome.
The Bunny Man. It's so terrible. I
Isn't
can't.
it a terrible name, too?
It really is. It really is. It's like I would expect that to be the name of like a pirate ship from the 1690s.
Right? Also, like, I still think it's funny that, like, Easter is so associated with bunnies while simultaneously about Jesus getting resurrected.
Yeah, Easter doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. People be eating lamb, and I'm like,
That seems like the opposite of
I'm
what
like,
Easter
yeah, I'm like, that
is.
doesn't seem right.
Oh,
And then they
it's
eat fish on
free.
Fridays because fish isn't
Yeah.
meat, and I'm like, so they're not alive too? Like, I don't get the logic behind Easter. None of it really makes sense to me. I can't, I don't want to say I can't get on board. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah, and then as a parent now, Easter has become this weird like
Gotta hide candy for my kid holiday.
gotta hide kids from my candy. That's also a thing that I have to do.
Now that's an Easter I can get behind.
I know. Yeah, but it's like sort of the second Christmas and there's all this hype and I'm like,
A second Christmas? Goodbye. No, Easter is not a second Christmas.
although, should we tell everybody what we had done? We had definitely done well into adulthood.
Was that have massive egg hunts between us and our parents and do insane things like duct tape eggs like underneath things. So it's like you open a cabinet, right? At like a lower cabinet and you look inside, but you don't know that there's an egg taped to the bottom of the top shelf. So you
Yeah.
can't see it and it's all the way in the back. You gotta find that egg.
So
Gotta find that egg.
yeah, so the way that we would do it is like we would, mom and dad would hide eggs for us, and we would do the hunt, and then we would make them go hide in their room, and then
Yep.
we would hide all the eggs for them and make them do the hunt, and it got very creative and competitive.
It sure did.
It was not unlike the. Thank God we didn't use real eggs though, but it was
oh my
not.
God, right?
It was not unlike the Bob's Burger episode where they lose the egg because
Yeah.
they're so creative with their. I remember getting real creative.
Yeah,
with
that
those
was
hiding
definitely a
spots.
way to kill like 4 to 5 hours.
Oh, hardcore.
Yeah.
And it was, it was fun watching mom and dad also simultaneously
Right?
run around and search for all the stuff.
Thinking that they knew they would get ideas from us. I'm telling you, I swear we started the taping the eggs thing. Just like
Oh,
taping
yeah.
eggs to everything.
Everything.
Like,
Yeah. Started looking underneath all the things.
Yep. Yeah.
And I remember and then we had to have ground rules, didn't it? Well, like no bathroom. It was like the family room, living room, and kitchen. But no bathroom or bedrooms.
Yeah, I don't know. It got pretty intense. And I think it was one like if you have to get on a ladder to hide it, you can't
Then
hide it
you
there.
can't hide. Which I think is fair considering we are a family of short people.
Yeah, we had our Easter egg hunts OSHA certified.
They were a lot of fun.
They
But,
sure were.
So my actual topic, happy Easter to everybody who's celebrating this week, by the way, is semi-Easter related. I'm going to be discussing the reincarnated story of the Pollock Twins.
Is it just a story that you're reincarnating, or are they twins that reincarnated?
So the belief is that they are twins that are reincarnated versions of their older sisters who died. Yeah.
They're older sisters. How many years apart were they?
Would you like to find out?
I would love to find out all of the things about them.
Yes. Okay. So our story begins in Hexham, England. Hexham is spelled like Hexham, which just tickles me. Anyways. So in Hexham, Florence and John Pollock lived there, and they had 2 daughters, Joanna, who was 11, and Jacqueline, who was 6. I found out later in another article that they had 4 older brothers, but I only found that referenced in like one article. So I'm not sure how accurate
may or may
that
not
is.
have had
4 older brothers.
right.
Yeah. So on May 5th, 1957, the girls were on their way to church with their friend Anthony, and they were killed in a car accident.
Oh my gosh.
They were struck by an erratic driver. The girls were killed instantly, while the boy died on the way to the hospital. The driver was under the influence of drugs and, unfortunately, intentionally hit them. Yeah, that's not great.
Intentionally?
Yes. She had been forcibly separated from her own children, and so she was upset and under the influence of drugs and on purpose hit this car full of children.
Oh my god. That is insane.
Yes.
And so upsetting.
Yes. Apparently, eventually she was taken to a psychiatric hospital, which, like, yes, that sounds like something that should have happened probably before. I know.
Yeah.
Before the car accident, maybe? I don't know. John and Florence were obviously devastated after having to bury their 2 girls. They were devout Catholics, or brought up as Catholics. As I said, they were on the way to church when the girls died. However, John was soon convinced that he would have another set of girls soon, born as twins. Yeah.
So they weren't originally twins.
No, they were 5 years apart.
Wow, so they were probably the closest thing the other one had to a twin then, huh?
That's really never going to go away, is it?
Nope.
I meant it. Whatever. I'm not even going to try and explain it anymore.
It's not like it wasn't a true statement. It was a true statement. It also happened to be very cute and hilarious.
So yes, John was convinced they would have another set of girls soon and they would be reborn as twins. And he was also convinced that they would be the reincarnated daughters, like the older daughters that died.
I mean, okay. All right, John.
Yep. Florence, apparently, was consistently annoyed about this proclamation.
I mean, yeah.
Yep. Like I said, they were pretty Catholic, and it was to the point where it caused enough tension that she almost divorced him because she was getting so frustrated. Yeah. It's, I can understand that. I'm not going to lie. If I'm trying to, grieve my children and my husband's like, no, it's fine. They're going to come back in the form of twins, I would be like,
yeah, that would be a little bit much, John. That's a little bit much.
I'd be like, shut the fuck up before I make you shut up.
It would be like, here's a diary. Write this shit down. Stop saying it to my face, please.
Yeah, exactly. So, the following year, after the girls passed away, Florence got pregnant. And twins didn't run in the family. And there was no proof that they were likely to have twins. The doctor said that it was likely to be a single baby pregnancy. However, on October 4th, 1958, she gave birth to twin girls, who they named Jillian and Jennifer. So apparently they really have a thing for J names. Or J-sounding names. Yep.
I saw this thing. This is how I tell stories in real life, in public. Everybody, get ready. I saw this thing on a show one time about a woman who, all through her pregnancy, was, having these visions of, death and blood and, physically seeing these things. And she went to the doctor over and over again. They checked her out. They were like, I don't know why you're having... They thought she was hallucinating, and they couldn't figure out what the issue was. And she was like, no, I'm going to die. I think it was on that Surviving Death show, actually. And she was like, no, I'm going to die. When I have this kid, I'm going to die. Like, I'm telling you. And then she, I think she hemorrhaged and she went into labor and she died and she had a near-death experience. And she had been telling people this her entire pregnancy and they were treating her like she was crazy. Her husband was treating her like she was crazy and he was over it. And he was like, stop saying that. Stop telling me that. And then she actually died. And they were all like, well...
Okay, sorry.
So weird. Yeah, like one doctor is like, yeah, I had no idea what to tell you. Like she was having these crazy experiences and then it actually ended up being true. And her husband still, like in an interview with her, was like, I don't really know what to say. It's kind of a coincidence because I think her husband is a doctor, so he's like reluctant to believe in that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's honestly a little painful to sit there and like to watch her sit there and listen to him say still like, I don't really believe you, but it's kind of weird that it's a coincidence. And she's like, oh, can you just say that it was real? Like, so in that sense, like, sorry, John, if this is real, but like also, you know, some people will just be doing too much sometimes and it's difficult to deal with in your own way.
It is, yeah. And, yeah, like I said, there was no proof that they were going to have twins. Or nobody thought that they, like, when he said that, they're like, oh, okay, John, sure thing. And then they had twins and named them Jillian and Jennifer.
So did they, like, start to have, like, vision, or, like, were the kids, when they grow up, did they start, like, saying things or being like, my name is, what were the original sisters' names?
The original sisters' names were Jacqueline and Joanna.
And then they named them what? Jillian and Jennifer?
Yes.
Jacqueline, Joanna, Jillian, and Jennifer, y'all.
Yep. I know. That's what
Anyway.
I said. So the twins were identical, but they had different birthmarks. Jennifer had a birthmark on her waist that matched a birthmark that Jacqueline had, and she also had a birthmark on her forehead that resembled a scar that Jacqueline had. So they were born in the same town that their older sisters died in. But when they were about 3 months old, they moved away to Whitley Bay. And they were brought up there for the next couple of years. So 2 years later, when the girls started, you know, developing normal speech patterns and all that kind of fun stuff, the girls started asking for toys that had belonged to their elder sisters, despite never having seen the toys before. And one time the father, like, I guess to test this out, he gave them, he pulled dolls from the attic that used to be the older sisters and gave them to the twins. And they named the dolls the same names, which was like Susanna and Hannah, without knowing the names that the other girls had named them beforehand.
All right, that's a little trippy. I'd be getting freaked out if my kids were doing that.
Oh, don't worry, it gets freakier.
Oh, good.
So, the family moved back to Hexham when the twins were 4. And despite having never been there, you know, outside from when they were like 3 months old, they were pointing out landmarks that their older sisters had known. They pointed out the school that the sisters had attended, the abbey, and a playground that the sisters had reportedly loved. They even seemed to know their way around the playground. Keep in mind, these are small children, they're 4. I know, like, I feel like sometimes there's, like, with people who aren't familiar with kids, like, it's like, oh, well, they're 4, they can talk more, but they're still very little. Like, yeah, they can talk more, but it's, like, barely out of toddler stage. And so, yeah, they knew their way around the playground and, you know, were familiar with these places. One of the anecdotes also said that they had recognized the neighbors who had lived next door to where the girls had lived when they were alive, without knowing them previously.
Wow.
They also, this is where it starts to get a little sad, they also used to begin to panic upon seeing moving cars.
Oh, my God.
Shrieking, the car is coming to get us. And they had reoccurring nightmares about getting killed by cars.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, by this time, the dad is obviously fairly convinced that they're reincarnated.
By this time, he was fairly convinced before they were even conceived.
I mean,
he's like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, he's still very convinced, but Florence is still, like, unsure, I think. But one time, Florence recalled overhearing the girls play a game where they recreated their older sister's accident. Jillian was cradling Jennifer's head, telling her, "The blood's coming out of your eyes. That's where the car hit you." On another occasion, Jillian pointed to Jennifer's birthmark on her forehead and told her, "That is the mark Jennifer got when she fell in a bucket." Again, things that they shouldn't have known.
Yo.
There was another time where there was another instance. I didn't want to write it down because it was really sad. So I'm just going to go over the spark notes of this one. But they are talking about how they're recalling what they looked like when they, yeah. They're like, "It was so scary. You looked like a monster. You had blood coming out of your eyes." Or blood coming out of your eyes was over here. And she's like, "Yeah, you were covered in blood too. I don't want that to happen to us again." These are like 4-year-olds.
There are a weird amount of stories of kids recalling past life experiences. And especially when they're young. There was one recently about a young boy who was saying things that he was Princess Diana in a young life, or in a previous life. Yeah, like a lot of the things he was saying was very, it was like, who else could it be? I'd have to look more into that, but that is definitely a story that I read on Daily Mail, because where else would you read that?
Yes, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stories, but this one I just thought was super crazy because I haven't heard of somebody being reincarnated
in their own family.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is really, really bizarre. Also, birthmarks are a big thing that people believe that is an indicator of a past life or a reincarnation, if that's either a scar that you had in a past life or that was a contributor to how you died in a past life. Yes, I know. Some people also believe that it's in the shape of your mother's favorite food or the food that she craved when she was pregnant with you. Some people believe weird things about birthmarks in general. But yeah, birthmarks tend to be one of the things that's brought up in like past life conversations about, reincarnation.
Yeah.
Not that I've looked into that before.
I mean, if the favorite food thing stands to reason, does that mean that mom's favorite food while she was pregnant with you was like chocolate ice cream? Like just this big old scoop of chocolate ice cream, right?
I don't know. Someone told me it looked like a cookie once. Oops, I just hit the mic.
Oh, it definitely also looks like a cookie.
Or a meatball.
Or a meatball.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I have a giant birthmark on my arm, and it's just like it kind of looks like the spot my dog has on her back. That's the same shape it is.
It does. You guys
like
are twinsies.
A poopy heart.
A poopy heart.
Yeah, because it's like kind of a heart, but it's like a melted one,
It's like it sat in the sun for a little bit.
Yeah, like a little fried egg. If a fried egg looked like a heart without you putting it in like a stencil or something, you're like, oh, it's kind of a heart, but it's not really.
So yeah, they had these like weird, creepy instances, right? The parents also claimed that they had similar personalities compared to their older sisters. And the parents say that they didn't speak about the deceased sisters until they were older. But
they were still saying things before they, wow.
Yes. They enjoyed the same food or games as the sisters. The older sister was much more protective of the younger sister and more mature. And they were only 10 minutes apart. And, things like that were common.
What year was this?
Well, they were born in 1958, so this was in 1963? And they're 4? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are they still alive?
They are, but funnily enough, I could not find anything on them.
Interesting.
Yeah, don't, it's, so I will be honest, as I was looking into this and I was in this point in my research, I was like, I don't know, man. This seems like it could have easily been suggested by the dad, especially since he so badly wanted it to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he was convinced it was going to happen, and then it did happen. So, the twins eventually attracted the attention of a Dr. Ian Stevenson, who wrote a book. He wrote a book called Children Who Remember Their Past Lives, A Question of Reincarnation.
Ah, okay, Ian Stevenson. I don't know why that name just made me giggle. I was just like, Ian Stevenson. Ian Stevenson. I just want to raise...
It reminds me of Hot Fuzz when he's like, yes, my name is
Aaron Aronson.
Aaron Aronson or Peter Ian Staker. Piss taker? Come on. Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Staker. Mr.
Mate,
Peter Ian
it's a swan.
Staker. Yep. So, yeah, he wrote this book called Children Who Remember Previous Lives, A Question of Reincarnation. And there was a couple of really interesting things so I maybe bought the book.
You did? Is it on Audible? Can I listen to it?
It's on my Kindle.
Oh, can I listen to it?
You can't listen to it. You have to read it.
I have to read it on my phone?
Yes. That's what I was doing. Sorry. I'm not sorry, though. You still have access to it. You're fine.
Okay.
So there was one quote. So, a lot of people question John about his beliefs and about, his conviction that this was actually what happened, right?
Right, yeah.
And so, a quote from the book that says, in response to the question that his convictions about the reincarnation may have weakened and even vitiated the case, I don't know, affected the case.
There we go.
Affected. He wisely replied, it's not biased at all.
Right.
He wisely replied that although his objection has some merit, his openness concerning reincarnation enabled him to note and remember remarks of his twin daughters that most other Western parents would have ignored or laughed at.
True.
Which, I could kind of see it, right? The other thing that this doctor did, which I thought was interesting, is he conducted blood tests when they were in their teens. Mm-hmm. So he confirmed that they were identical twins, but not just identical in looks, like they literally came from one egg, meaning that they had the same genetic material. Since the type of birthmarks that Jennifer had on her were considered genetic, it could be expected to find similar ones on Jillian, but
because
that's
they were
not
identical.
The case. And that's not the case. And it's also a mystery as to why they had such close correspondence in size and location to those on her older sister Jacqueline's body.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you said they were twins, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, they're twins. You're telling me about the birthmarks. I did not put two and two together. Oh, my gosh. They're identical twins, though.
Yeah, they're identical. And sometimes twins can look identical, but not actually be identical. No, they are identical, came from one egg, and split into two twins.
Wow.
Yeah. The doctor and author kept in contact with the family through 1985. However, when the children turned 5, the memories of their past lives faded almost overnight, and they went on to lead normal lives.
That's a thing, though. That is definitely a thing in little kids, where it's like they will remember things. It's like an imprint.
Yeah. So the interesting thing the thing that I found one of the most interesting things was they had obviously completely forgotten about their past lives. And as he talked to them as they got older, because they didn't remember it, they were even mildly skeptical of their own case.
Yo, that is some trippy shit right there.
Yeah, and so they did not present themselves as evidence for reincarnation because they couldn't remember it anymore. Which to me is the most interesting part of this story, because it's not like maybe the parents influenced them, but one, if they influenced them, you would think that they would still remember it.
Right, that it would be traumatizing enough to leave an impression.
Yeah, and two, if they were seeking fame and whatever because of this, then you would think that they would keep up the pretense throughout their whole lives.
Yeah.
And instead, they're like, I don't really know. You know, they said that they were skeptical. They can't really present themselves as being reincarnated because they don't remember it anymore. However, they also did not deny the evidence that the parents had obtained when they were children. So they're like, yeah, that's weird, but we don't remember it, so we're like... So yeah, and then I tried to find anything on them as adults, and I couldn't find anything. So my guess is that they just went on and wanted to be normal people, and, you know, bye-bye.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are some crazy stories out there. I used to watch YouTube videos of, like, little kids all the time.
I did, too, with
like, little kids' stories of how they died and how they, you know, we had a different family, and some parents, you know, really did look into that, and they were like, my kid's really freaking me out. I want to see if this is true. And, like, I think there was one case in, like, Scotland or something where the mom actually looked into it and found an obituary of a kid who died in that area. And it's like, how else would you know that? How would that kid know that? He was, like, 2 when he started talking and saying that. Yeah. No, there's a lot of weird stories about that kind of thing, so... That's very interesting.
Yeah, and like I said, I was really skeptical at first because the dad, you
like,
know.
really set it up.
Yeah, but like I said, it's not like the girls took that on and carried it throughout their lives. They were like, you know, once they forgot about it, they're like, I don't know. We can't tell you anything else. We're going to go live our normal lives now. Bye.
I also find it interesting that it was the dad and not the mom. Because I feel like it's normally, like, the woman in the situation that's, like... very in tune to things, especially, you know, when you're pregnant and you're going through that physical change. I feel like in most stories it's usually about the woman, which maybe is like something about the media that there's not like representation of men having those kinds of experiences. But
well, like I said, he was so persistent about it that it caused a strain on their marriage.
Yeah.
And she was not, you know, I don't think it was until she, like, heard them talking about, like, the gruesome pretend stories that she really, like... God. I know, like, can you imagine?
No.
I mean, like, I've had Evie do some, like, weird-ass shit, but, like...
But she does normal shit, like watch you sleep.
Yeah. You know, watch me sleep or sneak under my bed and lay there while I'm sleeping, you know.
Yeah,
just normal weird kid stuff.
That's normal kid shit, yeah.
But pretending that... with your sister that you're, like, dying and there's... I mean, we did a lot of pretending as kids, and we never did that shit.
No.
We just pretended that we were adult girls living in England and sharing an apartment together.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we tried to make up our own language?
Vaguely. I remember, like, writing it down.
It did not
And
stick.
it was, like, random words.
And phrases.
That we were like, apple, street, like, bumper, like, I don't know. It was just random. Bracelet. Like, it was not any kind of, like...
No, there was no rhyme or reason to our madness. And it did not stick. I feel like what happened was we thought it would be a cool idea, and then when we realized how much work it would take, we were like, nah.
Exactly.
So yeah, those are my Easter related stories. I know it's not like super tied to Easter, but I was like, what could be an Easter theme? And I was like, let's do...
I feel like that's definitely on Easter theme. Easter's freaky. Apparently it's second Christmas, y'all, so you're welcome.
Yeah. I thought, so we used to have a friend growing up that would call it Zombie Jesus Day. Do you not remember who this is?
No.
You should.
He used to call it Zombie Jesus Day?
I'm pretty sure he still does.
What a weirdo.
So I thought about doing it about zombies, but I don't know. This one really pulled me in with the whole reincarnated as their own sisters. That just seems
that's
super
real weird.
Strange. Yeah.
But yeah, that was really interesting. Yeah, lots of weird deep dives you can do into that kind of thing.
I thought it was so crazy, too. I couldn't find anything on them as adults. Like, nothing.
Yeah. No, that is weird. That's
so if anybody does find anything about them as adults, please let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Oh, my gosh. I want to know.
Yeah.
And a little update on the Pollock sisters?
Yeah, the Pollock Twins.
The Pollock Twins.
Yep.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, weirdly enough, I feel like my topic is creepily Easter themed.
Ooh, I like it.
Unintentionally, but like now you're talking about the Pollock Twins, and I'm like, oh, I think mine kind of has something to do. If the Bunnyman has something to do with Easter, then mine has something to do with Easter.
I know. I wish, like, I really wanted to do a whole topic on that. There just wasn't enough info. But yeah.
Ew. I really wanted to do a whole topic on that. That's what she just said. Ew. Gross. The Bunnyman.
Yeah. That's definitely nightmare fuel.
Yeah, 100%.
You ever look up all the pictures of, like, the kids in the 70s and 80s with the fucking vintage, creepy, dressed up bunnies?
No.
Okay, well, we're going to share them to our Instagram because they're terrifying.
Love that for us and for everyone who follows us. Thank you. What a gift. What a gift this second Christmas, y'all.
And it's also the reason I have never taken Evie to take pictures with the Easter Bunny.
Who goes to, I guess, yeah.
Parents do that. Parents
I know, but
do that.
It's weird. It's so weird. It is not a second Christmas. Guys, get it together. It is 2021. There's a pandemic on. There's a bunny man out there. I don't even know.
So, what is your weirdly Easter-themed topic for us?
Well, if I know anything about Easter, Easter is about caves. So I will be talking about caves. Specifically, people vanishing in caves without a trace. So they're not coming back from the dead. They're not showing up 3 days later. They are gone.
I mean, he was put in a cave as a tomb.
Yeah.
So, we know anything about Easter. It's about caves.
Yeah.
I really like our twisted Easter theme. I think that's a good one.
I'm pretty proud of it. It's really coming together.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know if people have seen it. We'll put it on, you've now seen it on our Instagram at this point. Or if you haven't, go check it out. But it's like a tweet that was shared a lot, both on Instagram and Twitter. And I saw it like years ago, but it popped up again recently, where it's like the top map shows mysterious cases of people vanishing without a trace. The bottom map shows America's largest cave systems. And there's just like all of these dots that happen to strongly correlate. Strongly.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's like...
Also, just real quick, I just love how your, like, creepy stories are really just about how creepy the Earth is. You're like, guys, ghosts are cool, but the Earth is the creepiest thing.
It is so weird. It is such a weird place, guys. It's intense. And I'm also like, any free time I get, I'm like, let's go hiking. I want to learn how to rock climb outside. What else? What other weird things? I want to go kayaking. I want to go mountain biking. Like, all the things that terrify me. It's like, for some reason, I want to do. But I am terrified of the Earth, as everyone should be. And...
As everyone should be.
Everyone should be afraid of their surroundings. Come on, guys.
So everybody disappears around caves. All right. So let's hear more about the caves.
Apparently. Okay, so now if you look into this specific infographic, if you want to call it that, this tweet, if you look into this popular tweet, Snopes.com is like, yeah, but no, because it's really just like people going missing in like national parks that happen to have caves. There's not a real like list of people who have like disappeared in caves. And the actually really troubling thing about disappearances or like missing people and like caves is that there's been no trace of like missing people in caves. So there's several stories. There's like the Hannibal brothers, I think, or like the lost kids of Hannibal. I don't know. There's one of those stories. There's another story about this guy up in the Mojave Desert. There's another story There's a couple other stories, and we're not talking about cave diving. Cave diving is for sure death. If you go into a cave, when you dive into a cave, like, you will die, just so you know. There's even signs that say that are, like, posted up in the beginning of the cave, right as you get in the water, and they're like, hi, don't care how experienced you are at this, you're probably going to die. There's, like, a 75% chance that you're going to die, so have fun.
Yuck. Also, I looked up the infographic, and I mean, it's cool, I guess, that they're into debunking it, but it is still freaky.
It's a freaky correlation for sure, but in the most popular cases of people who have quote-unquote gone missing in a cave, there's no trace of them. So they go into the cave, and this is not like the soccer team that got trapped in the cave, okay? This is like, people are like, I'm gonna go explore this cave. One of these was this guy who was posting videos on YouTube saying that he was gonna go explore this cave, and that he hiked the whole ridge. This guy in the Mojave Desert. Okay, well, they never found him, and all of his stuff was left behind when he went on a hike. So the police, like, ruled it like a suicide because they're like, we don't know. And I think his family was like, there's no way this is a suicide. He had a lot to live for. I don't even know. It was a lot of back and forth, but it's like there was no evidence of him in the cave. And the same thing with the boys that went missing. It's like they were planning on going to the cave. They said they were going to the cave. No one saw them around the cave, and there was no physical evidence that they had been in the cave that day. So that's the troubling thing about these stories. It's like people plan to go to the caves, and then they're just never heard from again. And people think, that maybe, what are they called? Like a rock slide or a cave-in, that maybe said that part of the cave has been blocked off, and that's why they can't see it. But it's like, even there should be, like, some footprints, some trace of them entering the cave, and, like, there just wasn't any found. So while it does correlate strongly and is troubling to look at, this image, it's like, unfortunately, fortunately, I didn't find a lot of stories of people going missing in caves. Okay. I don't want to be like, unfortunately, it's not true. Because the secretly, I really just want to believe that everything is freaky and weird.
I mean, yeah. No,
and I don't trust caves. I don't trust them. Like, it's a big hole in the ground, and I don't know what's living in there. I don't know what it's like down there. I don't know the environment. And I think that's the biggest thing is, like, for me personally, is like, it's not my environment. That's not my home. That's not my place. So I'm very aware of that. Like, not equipped to be in all places. That's me. Could I fit into a locker up until the age of, like, 12? Yeah.
Oh, did you try that?
Oh, voluntarily, just to prove how small I was.
Oh, my God.
I'm just like, oh, you don't think I'm that small? I'm that small, excuse me. Let me crawl in here. I'd, like, shut myself in, just, like, all inside a locker. Yeah.
Wow, you are straight up Louise.
Yeah, cat's in the wall and Emily's in the locker. I don't know what to tell you.
I had no idea that you did that.
All the time. To show off. Like, that was my party trick back in the day as a tiny kid. Oh, my God. Okay. So, now, everything that I said in mind, I did find one really good story. Okay?
Okay.
This story is from January of last year.
Wait, what?
It's from January of last year that this happened. That the story came out. But it has been an ongoing story for many years since... Oh, wait. I'm going to do the math. Real quick. Hold, please.
Ooh, math is good.
Hold, please. Bum, bum. Oh, wait. What is our... So this is from, like, over 40 years ago is when this first happened, okay?
Wow.
Yeah. So our journey begins on August 26, 1979. There's a group of artifact hunters that happen to be searching for arrowheads in a cave near the Civil Defense Caves, which is just north of Dubois in Idaho. which if you look on the map, there's like 2 dots in Idaho. So there's like maybe a cave in Idaho, and this is the cave in Idaho.
All right.
This is the one, okay? And instead of arrowheads, they found something else.
Money.
I wish it was money. Some chocolate coins
Yep.
and Easter eggs. No, this is an Easter story, so obviously, wrapped in a burlap sack and buried in a shallow grave was the headless torso of a man.
Oh my God. The headless torso?
Yeah. He was wearing a white shirt with blue pinstripes and a maroon sweater. He, I don't feel like I need to say this, but he was also missing his arms and legs.
Ah!
Okay,
nope,
maybe I did need to say that.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
So
otherwise it would have been the
just-
headless body. It's just the torso.
Ew, why is that worse?
It is worse. It is worse. A headless body is terrible. A body is terrible, but like just the torso is like, that's worse. That's worse than just finding a limb. Because at least if you find a limb, you're like, well, hope the rest of you is doing okay. Like,
But this one,
could you imagine being the person that like came across the 127 hours cave? Like after the fact, like
I never
months
thought
later,
about that.
and they couldn't free the arm, and they're like, we'll get back to it. They forget about it. Some hikers just strutting along with AirPods in, they look down and they're like, there's just this bony arm sticking out from a rock, and it looks like it's like reaching out, coming to get you.
Okay,
Oh,
I
man.
feel like that needs to be something we look up now.
It's like, I am certain that that's not a thing. I'm certain his
I
arm is in a
know.
pathology lab, like instantaneously.
In a pathology lab.
Yeah, I'm sure they were like, we need to get that to the path lab, man. But no, I just wanted to paint that picture for everybody because that's how my mind works. Welcome.
So, much since this is an Easter story, as you said, they found a headless torso.
Yes. So obviously they called the authorities, and the Clark County Sheriff's Department went out and investigated the caves. They searched the area for any other remains, but they weren't actually able to find any back in 1979. And Earl Holden, the Clark County Sheriff at the time, said that he believed that based on the clothing that the man was wearing, that he was likely a gambler from 60 years ago, 1979. So that would put him in like 1920, 1910 kind of area.
How did he know he was a gambler?
I don't know. He just like had that gangster vibe, like torso. You imagine your torso just giving off a gangster vibe, and you're like, yeah, I know what he was up to. Like,
It makes me wonder I don't want to think about it, but it also makes me like, what vibe would my torso give off? Yuck. I regretted
I've literally
saying that
never had that
instant.
thought before. I'm now gonna always think about that. What vibe is my torso giving off? Like,
Aw. I definitely regretted saying that out loud, but
I didn't. I appreciated it. Will forever be something I think about now, well, at least once a day.
also, you like how now recording, when you tell me uncomfortable things, I start hugging my Yahtzee pillow?
I love that. Yes. He's the
Can't.
vibe that your torso is giving off right now.
Which also, fun fact, if I did die in my house, Yahtzee would eventually eat me.
Oh, of course. He's got to eat something.
Yeah, you're welcome, world.
Yeah, it's a terrifying thought, but it's like I would at least, I'm an organ donor on my license plate, so it's
That's
like
true.
if Jack and Jill, need nourishment,
I'm not using it.
I am not but a vessel for their life force.
As you say that with the open arms.
Just, yeah.
This is a very Easter related episode for sure.
Yes, equally as morbid as Second Christmas. All right, so the coroner at the time, his name was Ernest Still, performed an investigation and an autopsy and determined the man had died within the last decade due to the presence of flesh and odor.
Yeah.
So Earl Holden was like, he's a gangster, you see? And the coroner, Ernest Still, was like, no, he died like 10 years ago. Maybe he's still decaying.
I mean, like, couldn't that have been messed up from the environment of the cave, though?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if it's dry in there, but it's also, you have to think of like animals and stuff. So how long could he have been there? Well, I guess even 10 years, he's going to be there for a while.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't even know. But Ernest Still wasn't the only one who thought that he was only like 10 years old. Well, AD.
I like it.
Okay.
Who else thought he was 10 AD?
Oh, well, only the top forensic anthropologist in the world at the time in 1979, Dr. Doug Ubelaker, from the Smithsonian Institute, which, like, did not realize how true Bones was.
I was going to say, hey, Bones.
I know, right? I was like, damn, okay, all right, Bones. But he believed the remains could have been anywhere from 6 months to 10 years old as well. So they thought that it was a recent death, and based on their investigation and not being able to find any other body parts or any, missing persons reports that matched up with this or any DNA or anything, they could not identify who this person was. Okay?
Okay.
12 years later, in the end of March 1991, pretty close to Easter, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Lynn Thomas said he's of Dubois, and
Yeah.
Lynn Thomas of Dubois and his daughter, Lynette Rogers, with her 2 children, Nathan, who was 15 at the time, and Anna, who was 11, were out exploring the same caves.
No.
And while Anna and Nathan were exploring up ahead, Lynette was shining her flashlight along the cave floor when all of a sudden they came across a hand sticking out of the ground. Yes.
That's like hardcore.
That's zombie Jesus right there.
Yeah. That's for sure nightmare. Like, can you imagine? Okay, but imagine, like, paint this picture. You're walking in a cave, probably swinging your flashlight. So it's probably not like a steady stream. And then you see this flash of a hand sticking out.
Looks like it's grabbing at you.
It probably looked like it was moving if she's, like, swinging the flashlight around. Like,
right.
Fuck, no. Like,
yeah.
No.
Pretty sure that was an opening to an episode of Bones, honestly.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, the hand was still attached to an arm with a piece of sweater on it, which was close to a hole in the ground. Obviously, as soon as they made that discovery, they ran from the cave and called the authorities, which is the only natural reaction. And the authorities, got the Idaho State University and the Idaho Museum of Natural History to do an excavation that uncovered the man's arms and legs nearby. They discovered the other arm next to the one that the Thomas family found with bits of burlap sack attached to it. And then they also were able to find 2 legs, which were also wrapped in a deteriorated burlap sack. So they believed that the limbs belonged to the same body as the torso that was found 12 years earlier, but it was found about 100 feet deeper into the cave. The clothes appeared to match the ones found on the torso, including the pants, the white shirt, and the maroon sweater. The arms and legs still had a shriveled, leathery flesh on them. Sorry for that.
Yuck.
And the limbs were cleanly severed from the body. So they thought that could have been done with a saw, although there were no wounds to the torso. So they were like, so bizarre. So bizarre.
I'm sorry, there were no wounds to the torso?
Yeah, so I would think that he was obviously dead before he was dismembered. And then I don't know how you would dismember somebody that's not a Lego person without,
What about, an axe? Like a really big, giant axe that they use
maybe
in,
it was the Bunnyman.
Yeah, right?
Maybe. When Easter comes full circle.
Yeah.
Bunnyman and Zombie Jesus.
Whew.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a movie I would watch on Christmas Day. That's some shit that they would put out on Christmas Day, too. It's like they always put the weirdest fucking movies out, and they're like, opening Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in March of 2019, again, Easter vibes.
Why is it only happening in March? That's actually pretty weird.
Isn't that very odd? Yeah,
Yes.
It's weird how time works.
It's weird how time works. Fair.
I'll explain it. So two scientists with the Idaho State University Anthropology Department, Dr. Amy Michael and Dr. Samantha Blatt, decided to ask if company DNA Doe Project would be willing to help to try identify the man that they found in the cave, because they still, by 2019, have no effing clue who this guy is, why he was
40
killed.
years later.
Yeah.
40. How did they know how he died?
No, because they never found a head. So there's no cause of death. They're not sure how his limbs were severed so cleanly, and also he looks like he died like maybe 10 to 20 years ago. He doesn't look like that decomposed or like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like he should just be bones. He should literally be bones at this point, depending on even if you found him in 1979. It's like to find the arms and the legs still with like flesh and, you know?
Yuck.
So
Yeah.
maybe, I don't even know. But, yeah, so they had a team of 14 volunteer genealogists that was led by Anthony Redgrave that spent 2,000 hours searching the Clark County John Doe's family in their system. So searching through the family trees and all of the information that they had already, they identified the man as Joseph Henry Loveless. So, they found, now I don't know how many people have done Ancestry.com or like 23andMe. I don't know how many like people you find in your family tree, but I'm going to assume it's like a regular number.
I mean, yeah, it's like, so from our DNA test results, we didn't find that many. I mean, we looked on the like family tree based on records, and you can find more, but like, yeah, it's not like an insane amount.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, and it's a regular amount of people.
Yeah.
They found 31,730 individuals in Mr. Joseph Henry Loveless's family tree.
Can those people go to work on our family tree, please? Like, what the fuck?
Oh, it's not because they worked so hard to find every single person he was possibly ever related to. They narrowed their investigation down to about 250 quote-unquote DNA cousins, because they also found out that he was descendant of pioneers of the Latter-day Saint Church in the Utah Valley, and that his parents and other members of his family tree were polygamists, which obviously made their job much more difficult.
Jeez. 250 cousins? Mm-hmm. Yuck.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So obviously that affected the DNA in unpredictable ways, which made it even harder to figure out who this guy was. They're like, oh, let's just try. And then they're like, what?
Like, how?
Yeah, because there's like a bunch of half like cousins, half relationships where DNA was only shared with one parent. They found like a bunch of really close DNA matches, so it was really hard for them to narrow it down to one individual because of how prolific the DNA was in the area at that time.
Ew.
Yeah, rough stuff. So yeah. So now we're in 2019, and Clark County Sheriff Bart May wanted to also make sure that, because apparently this has just been a case in Clark County. I don't know if there's like a lot going on there, but this seems to be like a well invested in case where they're like, we've got to know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like their one cold case that they're like, I hope so. I hope none of their cases are cold. I hope they're that good at their jobs, because
yeah, that would
Lord,
be nice.
We know not everybody is. So, yeah, he was like, I want to make sure that this is 100% correct, because this case has been open for so long and we couldn't figure out who it was. So he felt that they needed to take it a step further and tracked down his Joseph Henry Loveless's like last like living relative, which happened to be an 87-year-old grandson who was willing to meet with them and give him a sample of his DNA. And through that grandson's DNA, that's how they were able to confirm that it was actually, without a doubt, Joseph Henry Loveless that was found in the cave.
Okay, but didn't they say that he only died in like the 50s or something, the 60s? So like how is this 87-year-old guy his grandson?
Well, that is a mighty fine question you got there. Yeah, it turns out Earl Holden was completely on spot. Like, he was completely on point when he was like, yeah, I think this guy died in like 1910 or 1920, because Joseph Henry Loveless was born on December 3rd, 1870.
Dude, that is like the best I told you so of all time.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking told you guys.
Yeah, the bones of the world at the time was like, no, you're wrong.
And really, he was very wrong. Wow.
Yep.
Oh, man. I really hope that somehow I get an I told you so like that good. I don't think I will. I feel like that's like a once-in-a-generation type of thing. But that's
She
a really good one.
wants an I told you so. She wants to have an identifiable torso. Like, talk about goals, people.
I just want to know what kind of thing. Never mind. I don't even want to go there because it just grosses me out thinking about my torso without the rest of me.
Oh, man.
Ugh.
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 Yeah, so he was born in 1870 in Utah to Sarah Jane Scriggins and Joseph Jackson Loveless.
Oh.
I love that name, Sarah Jane Scriggins. Like, that's, if I ever sign up for like a trial cell phone, you know how they like, well, if the world ever opens up and I ever walk back into a mall and someone is trying to get me to sign up for like cable TV or some shit, the name I'm going to use is not Orville Redenbacher. It's going to be, or Orville Teutenbacher. Isn't that what it is on The Office?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
It's going to be Sarah Jane Scriggins from now on.
I like it. It
gonna
is
be
a good name.
My new Squeegee Beckenheim. So Sarah Jane Scriggins was from Massachusetts, and Joseph Jackson Loveless, say that 3 times fast, was from...
Yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah,
I tried.
Joseph Jackson Loveless. I can only whisper it for some reason. Oh my God. So one of my friends that I work with, she used to tell customers at an old job that she had that if they could say maple bourbon bacon 5 times fast, that she would buy them the maple bourbon bacon like wings for free. Like, she'd buy it for them and give it to them for free. And every single time they'd be like, maple, and they couldn't say it. And so now I walk around like under my breath in my mask, and I'm like, maple bourbon bacon, maple bourbon bacon, maple bourbon bacon, maple bourbon bacon. And I do that weird thing that I was just doing with my eyes too. So people literally think that I'm fucking crazy.
She never had to buy anybody the wings?
No one could ever do it. It was like at a bar, so I'm sure they were all like inebriated too. But it was just.
I love it. That's a wonderful story.
Isn't that? And how, like, I've never been more determined to say 3 words 5 times fast.
Yes. I'm not even going to try because I know I'm going to fail a lot.
It's really fun though. Try.
Maple bourbon bacon, maple bourbon bacon.
It's hard. It's hard.
It is.
It's like unique New York is hard enough for me. And that was one that we used to always have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just said unique. Wait, did you say it right? You might have said it right. Unique New York. Unique New York. Because I always end up saying
New York.
Unique York.
Oh my God, that sounds like something like a weird, what are they called? Like phrases? Like
a tongue twister.
No, like, sounds like if unique, then you Nork.
You Nork, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So, anyways. Maple bourbon bacon, according to newspaper records of the area, was a notorious outlaw.
Really?
Yes. No, obviously I'm talking about Joseph Henry Loveless.
Yes, obviously.
Yeah, so he was a famous outlaw of the time. He was said to be a bootlegger and a jailbird, and, oh, by the way, a vicious murderer. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh. Wait, was he a gambler too?
I mean, probably. He just was doing whatever the fuck he wanted to do. It was the 1800s, and he did not give a fuck, and he was out west in Utah, so he was just living it up, doing whatever he wanted to do.
Ugh, yeah.
Which is very much like, for some reason, just made me think of Holes.
Yeah.
With that story of the yellow spotted lizards and whatever her name was.
I don't know, but it was played by that blonde chick.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, wasn't she in, like, Medium or something?
Yeah, she was.
Okay, yeah.
And fucking Dule Hill.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Dule Hill. Yeah.
God, I've been watching so much Psych, and I love him so much.
I can fix that. Oh my god, that's, yeah. It just brought me back.
Yep.
Yeah, so I wish that her name was Sarah Jane Scroggins, but he basically was her back then, and was doing whatever he wanted to do. And so in 1889, when he was 28, he married a woman named Harriet Jane Savage in Salt Lake City. And 5 years later, Harriet filed for divorce on the grounds of desertion and that he failed to support for their one daughter. So this was in 1904.
Okay.
So after their divorce, he married someone else named Agnes Octavia Caldwell in Idaho. And they had 4 children together, but, you know, Loveless wasn't the type to settle down. All right?
Apparently.
He's a bootlegger and a jailbird, man, you see? And so in in 1914, he was arrested for bootlegging in Burley.
And what?
Bootlegging in Burley. A few months later, he was again arrested for bootlegging in Burley, but he managed to escape
Burley?
from jail. Yeah, that's what it's called, bootlegging in Burley.
Wow. I thought you were trying to say bootlegging and burglary, and you were bungling it. That's why I was like...
Bootlegging and burglary. It's like I get Irish there. The other.
Oh, God.
Anyways, so he was arrested for bootlegging in Burley, Idaho.
That makes so much more
And then got out, and then was arrested again in Burley, and he escaped from jail. And then in December, he was he had again gotten arrested and sawed through the jail bars, like, to get out.
How did
And
he have a
apparently-
saw?
Apparently, he kept a saw in his shoe, which I'm
Ew.
like, how big
Also, how?
are your feet? And also,
Yeah.
how big is the saw? And what constitutes a saw versus, like, a regular knife?
Is
and
it just like a serrated knife? Like,
I would assume.
Huh.
But so that was in December of 1914, and in March 1916, the newspaper records of the area show a man named Walter Guerin pulling off a daring escape by cutting his jail cell's bars with a saw, and then stopped a train that was escorting him to prison, was recaptured and sent to prison, and then escaped from that prison. So now Walter Guerin's popping up in the
What?
newspapers, but it actually turns out that Walter Guerin was just one of the aliases that Loveless went by.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was like a crazy dude, which I just think is so funny that it's like, oh my God, there's body parts in this cave. Oh my God, we can't figure out who it is. And then they're
And
like,
then it
oh my
actually-
God.
Yeah, it
who
turns
the
out
fuck
to be
is
a
this?
crazy dude. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that is a wild story.
Isn't that just nuts? So it's like he had Walter Guerin, Walter Cairns, Walter Curran, Walter Currans, Walter Cairns, Walter Kernans, and Charles Smith. We're all his aliases, and we're all in the newspapers, in the papers, over and over again, because he was like getting arrested, getting escaped from jail. He was getting the bootlegs. He was getting the burleys. You know what I mean? He was like, he was getting them before they even got. You know what I'm saying? It was just nuts.
Yeah, I really thought you were saying burglary wrong for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, do you not know how to say the word?
Burglary. Yeah, LOL, that's really funny. I don't even know. That's just super funny. But yeah, so this dude had like a ton of different fucking names and was all over the papers and was doing a bunch of crazy shit. And so then on May 5th in 1916, Loveless's wife, Agnes Caldwell, which she also went by like Ada Smith and a couple other different aliases as well. But on May 5th, 1916, she was discovered by their 8-year-old son. Apparently, they were living in a tent at the time.
When was this?
In 1916. I mean, he doesn't seem like the most stable person, and also they
Yeah.
had 4 kids, and he technically had a 5th one from another marriage.
Yeah.
And she had apparently been beaten to death with an axe. So again,
my
could have been
God.
the Bunnyman. I'm now convinced that there is a Bunnyman or a bunny humanoid creature that is also a time traveler. So
I mean, he was a time traveler in Donnie Darko, so you know.
welcome to our TED Talk.
It
That's what we're really going to be talking about today.
It always comes full circle with us, you know.
It really does. It's weird, you know? But yeah, so Loveless was nowhere to be found, but he instantly became the prime suspect because obviously he's very suspicious. But him and his wife were using the aliases Charles and Ada Smith at the time because they were suspected bootleggers. Like, they were already, like, on the lam, basically. And so a week later, they arrested Walter Cairns, but obviously it was Joseph Loveless, and for Ada Smith's murder, but that was Agnes Loveless. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's also, how funny is it to be doing this research and you're like, oh my God, he's descendant from polygamists. And then you're like, oh my God, he has 7 different names. Like,
Yeah.
imagine pulling up all of these articles, however they're stored or archived, and you're like, wait a minute, this is all one guy? This is like 12 different guys. Like,
It is no longer a mystery to me how they put 2,000 hours into this.
I know, right? I'm like, that seems like not enough time to come up with all of this, actually.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah. So they charged Loveless with killing her, obviously, with murder. And they said that, I'm just reading horrific things about this. Anyways, it was really horrific. She was beaten to death with an axe, okay? So it's basically like, they said that he came home early Saturday morning and that after she returned from a dance in the city, and he killed her.
Wow.
Yeah, basically.
Like,
and
just because she went to a dance, or?
I don't know. Again, doesn't seem like the most stable person. Honestly,
Yeah.
probably wasn't the first time he killed somebody. Probably just the first time they figured it out because his
Yeah.
son found her. Like,
Yeah.
trauma.com.
I know.
So on May 23rd, 1916, Loveless escaped from jail again by cutting the bars using a saw that he had
The
hidden in
third
his shoes.
time?
I
How
know,
come
like,
nobody's searching
don't let
his
this
goddamn
guy
shoes?
exactly. Don't let him go into the cell wearing shoes. Number 1. Number 2, maybe you should reevaluate what you're using to make jail bars out of. Like,
For reals.
is it cardboard? Is it plastic? Like, I mean, what was it? Aluminum?
Aluminium. Did it say what they were made out of?
It did not. But after that, after he escaped from jail on May 23rd in 1916, he was not seen again until his headless, dismembered corpse was discovered in 1979. They have no idea how he was killed or who murdered him. But that's, I would say, time of death wise, like, when your first assumption was like, oh, I think, or Earl Holden, you know, his first assumption was like, or speculation was that he died 60 years earlier from 1979, which would have put it right around this time that he escaped from prison, like, for killing his wife. So I wouldn't say it's exactly a mystery. It seems, I don't know, obviously you don't know who did it, and nobody ever found his head, which is troubling.
That was what I was going to ask, is like, nobody ever found his head?
Yeah, it's like 10 years later, there's going to be another article of like, human skull found in Idaho cave. Like,
it does make me think, yeah. I wonder why, though. Why and how?
I mean, you know, it's actually funny that you said that about the axe, because it's like maybe somebody did like chop him up because, or maybe his son did it.
mean,
I don't know. It's
it
all...
does seem a bit weird that his wife was beaten to death with an axe and then he's found dismembered.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah. So there's not really much like about like people that they were close to or like, maybe like a friend of Agnes's or like someone who like cared about her that was upset that she was murdered. I really have there's not any sort of clear lead as to who could have possibly done that. So whoever was near to them was staying out of the papers.
I mean, good for them, I guess.
I guess.
Or
I don't
who
know.
knows? Maybe his previous criminal past caught up with him.
Yeah, it's like literally anything is possible in this scenario. But yeah, so that was one of the only stories where it was like proof that somebody had died and or been disposed of in a cave. Yeah. And then even so, their limbs and the body, the remains were untouched, were virtually untouched. So what you did say about like the dry air in the cave, it probably did something to preserve it.
Yeah.
And it probably wasn't any weird scavengers in there. So maybe there's not anything weird going on in caves besides just, disposing of a body, which again is like one of those things that gives me the heavy vibe of like if I feel like I don't belong somewhere, I'm gonna leave. Like
So I guess I shouldn't tell you about the giant national park in Florida that's literally just caves, right? Or Florida? New Mexico. That's just caves.
No, you have told me about that, but also
Carlsbad
when we were
Caverns.
Yeah, that sounds cool. There's also one here in New York called Howe Caverns that a couple people have tried to get me to go to, which I wouldn't be opposed to going to in like a group on like a tour situation, but I would probably feel super uneasy the whole time. Just like, oh, maybe the ceiling will cave in. I know it's been here for a long time, but maybe all it took was me walking in here.
Maybe I am the missing link in this equation.
Yeah.
Equation, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know. There's also the largest cave system, I think, in the world, at least in the United States, is Mammoth Caves, which we drove by in Kentucky.
Oh, yeah. Didn't I say I wanted to stop by it?
Yeah.
And you were like, girl, no.
Yeah, well, there's like over 400 miles of caves and caverns and tunnels and passages that they've found in Mammoth Caves, and I'm assuming there's probably a lot more, to be honest, but yeah.
Okay, so what I want to know is, like, now we're getting into the age of, like, drones, and have you seen in, like, New York City how they have those weird robot dogs?
Oh, yeah, I've definitely seen those, yeah.
Yeah. Or, like the rover that they send to Mars. Why not, like, send those things into caves and see what's there?
Yeah, they definitely should.
Also, I'm just picturing the weird robot dog, like, trotting down the cave.
Yeah. And then, like, falling over and, like, using its weird snake head to lift it back up.
I know, I hate it. I hate that so much.
Super weird.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's my Easter tale, folks.
You know, it came full circle. We got back to,
It was the Bunnyman all along.
Hatchets, there's caves. I'm pretty sure I exclaimed Jesus at some point.
You did, right when I was, like, in true Easter fashion. I was going to point it out, but I was like, this is perfect. I'm just going to let it go.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a crazy story. Also, I can't believe somebody has that many relatives.
It's insane.
You said like 13,000?
31,000.
Oh, sorry, 31,000.
31,730 relatives were found in his fucking family tree, 250 of which were cousins. And that was in quotes because they were like half related to him through one parent or through the other.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a little weird. I don't know why I always end up doing... This is now the second time that I'm, like, talking about, I guess that's polygamy. We wouldn't say that that's incest. That's not incest. But just weird things. Anything weird, polygamy, man.
Yeah.
Weird things freak me out, but I also want to learn lots about them. I don't know why.
I know. Yeah, I know.
I don't know why.
So you said the Snopes article, like, disproved that the disappearances?
Well, it's just it's a lot of the records of disappearances are like from national parks that happen to have caves, and again, there's very little records of disappearances that are even related to caves specifically, and even in those cases, there is no concrete physical evidence found inside the caves that they ever entered the cave, which makes it difficult. It's like you can't say one way or another that they disappeared in the cave. Unfortunately, like there's no proof of it, and there's no non-proof of it. It just is like a disappearance, and we don't know what happened. So I don't know.
I don't know, man. That's still freaky.
It is still freaky. It's very much still freaky, but yeah.
Wow, look at us in our Easter episode. I think this is the first time we've done like it was sort of unintentionally themed.
It was. It just kind of like worked out. I know that we're definitely going to have a theme for July 4th because I've been planning that since day one.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and I think that that's the next one that's coming up.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. That was delightful. Hopefully, people who celebrate Easter think that as well. Sorry, not sorry. Should have known what you were getting yourself into. Come on now.
Yeah, I feel like at this point.
Yeah.
Hopefully people know.
Yeah, hopefully. And if you are looking for more wonderful, wondrous information about us, you can find that at thewonderlustpodcast.com, which is our amazing, brand new, awesome website.
Yes.
Obviously, the more that we do stuff, the more we'll put out on there. And we are also on Instagram at wonderlust.pod. You can tweet us on Twitter, but we're still afraid of the internet and of what you will do to us. So
Okay, it's kind of like, what's that baseball movie that everybody loves?
Field of Dreams, if you build it,
Yeah.
they will come. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you tweet us, we will come.
Yeah. So you can do that at Pod Wonderlust. That is us. We will get your tweets. Yeah.
And respond.
And we will
Someday.
respond. Yeah. If you want to shoot us an email, you can do that at thewonderlustpodcast@gmail.com. Or you could fill it out on our website, send us a message, send us some cool suggestions, especially for
Yes, please.
upcoming holidays, or if you have a story that your grandma was alive when Charles Manson, was around and she almost went to a party with him or something just weird and cool. I want to know, and Sarah wants to know, and we all want to know. And
Tell
we wanna
us
talk
all
about
the
it.
weird things. Tell us all the weird things, guys.
Yeah, and while we're waiting for your DMs, I will be reading my textbook on the art and science of handreading. So,
Which is a palmistry textbook, just FYI.
yep, I'm very, very into it, and it freaks me the hell out. As do most things freak me the hell out, actually. If you haven't caught on to that by now, I'm sorry, but that's
pretty accurate. Yeah,
there's more where that came from.
I'll be diving into my new book about past lives of children.
Oh, yes. Please let me know how that goes, because I'm also still reading Lynn McTaggart's The Field, which I highly recommend. Some of the things in there, even go a little bit over my head, because I love physics. I love how freaky physics is, but I can't, it's really hard for me to wrap my head around, the actualities of, the equations and stuff like that, but it's very interesting, so yes. And also, you can send us the books that you're reading, too, please.
Yeah, if
we
you
love
have
you guys.
weird book suggestions, we would love it. We would love it.
And thank you for always, thank you, as always, for listening to us and for, tuning in.
Hanging out.
Hanging out. So we'll be wondering about some more things this week, and we'll catch
Keep
you next time.
Keep you posted. Oh,
Heck yeah, we will.
Bow.